I do need to make a public statement and give my sincerest apologies to Suicidal Tendencies.
Here
You
we go.
guys actually kind of
Here we go.
rule. You guys Patrick, please let me say this to
I didn't say
Suicidal.
anything. What did I say?
Let me apologize to the scariest punk band.
I'm not scared of any one of them.
Let me apologize to the literal gang members, Patrick.
Oh, okay.
Let me apologize to the band that's probably all friends with MS-13 members. Allegedly.
Yeah, friends with.
No, but for real though. So we had don't if you're in Suicidal Tendencies or friends with them, don't go look this up. But we had an episode where we were talking about Suicidal Tendencies and we were getting extra fucking spicy about it. And then I was watching some video give like the history of Suicidal Tendencies, and in the video they were kind of like busting out a few songs in there, and I remembered how good Psycho Vision from fucking Tony Hawk was. So I went back and I listened to that like first big I think it was the first Suicidal Tendencies album, and I was like, oh, this actually kind of fucking rips, and it was fun, and it was getting me
Hard.
It was getting me fully erect. I'm trying to look it up to remember this because it's the album with their self-titled album. I still will say this: Institutionalized is not a good song, but the rest of the facts are facts, boys. But the rest of the album does actually rip. In my opinion. And I was texting you about it, and this led to an interesting conversation where you were of the belief that you're like Suicidal Tendencies is not a punk band; they're just a speed metal band.
That were accepted by punks.
That were accepted by punks because of like the image or whatever. And so the reason, coming from the previous conversation, this reminded me is like, so I was like really, at first, and this was a funny part, by the way, in our text exchange. I'm such a fucking hypocritical psycho dickhead because I was texting you in a certain type of way, being like, Patrick, you're dumb, you're a fool, da da da. Then you text me back immediately the exact same way as I did, and I like my immediate reaction was, how dare you? I'm an insane hypocrite.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
I was like, yo, who the fuck do you think? Wait, you just texted Pat like that, you fucking idiot.
You started this.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm the one who created the framework of the shitting on each other. Rules for thee, not for me. Anyway, no, but here's the thing. So, and I'll let you talk at some point during this podcast. But I was going through listening to a bunch of Suicidal Tendencies, and then I was listening to, because you were like, they're just a speed metal band, and then I looked up like, oh yeah, you said they sound exactly like Slayer or whatever, and I looked up old Slayer, and I will concede on this, there are definitely some clear similarities in the songwriting structure, and that's why like a riff between punk and metal is clearly more of a fan thing, because if you look at the actual bands, you can really hear the similarities. But what I think when listening to Suicidal Tendencies is they have very clear, it's almost like Slayer and Suicidal Tendencies were kind of the same band, but like Slayer went in the more metal wiggity direction, and Suicidal Tendencies went in the more like, we're gonna yell and palm mute and stuff like that.
I feel like that was the thing was, but it was still the same. Like, it's the kind of weird, like, the only way I can, it's like a weird middle ground between speed metal and like punk, in my opinion, because it kind of turns into this like bitchy metal, like where kind of what Institutionalized is, where they almost like talk sing. And it's like, it's speed metal-esque, and it's not, and I'm not, and this is, none of this is, I don't mean it to sound disparaging. I just need clarification. We talk a lot about genres on here, and we talk a lot about distinction. Like, genres exist for a reason. And if I'm listening to Hell Awaits, and I'm listening to, whatever the early, I literally went random Suicidal Tendencies. I didn't choose a specific album, but I wanted to listen specifically to early Slayer, which I think you're right, where there's like a fork in the road at some point where you're like, you're going to play, because that's what I was saying. It's like, it's not an identical thing. Like, the vocals are obviously different. They're not going like and screaming and shit like that. But almost the attitude is almost exactly the same. You have this dirt ball, like shit kicky kind of like fucking like tough guy thing, whereas punk was like, But then they have institutionalized where they're like, "Mom, I just want a soda," and it's like it's this thing of like, that's not you. You don't have that fucking energy. You don't have that weird like. But that's what I'm saying is I think they are in fact an enigma in their existence. But I do think that they are a speed metal band that was accepted because like I said, I saw them play live recently, not in their heyday, obviously, and there was very little like it didn't it like I've been to so many punk shows, man. It just didn't. It just felt like something else. It felt more like Ozfest. Like it was weird, and that's what I'm just saying. That's from my observation and my personal experience.
Yeah.
Andy, I wouldn't categorize them technically as that. And honestly, if any of them want to say anything to me personally, I'm here.
That is Pat George, Andy Malafrina, notedly scared of you.
My address. I live in New Jersey, somewhere near Jersey City.
Hey, no,
My
that's where
cat's
I live.
name
Stop,
is
stop. That's where
Diesel.
I live, Pat.
Stop. What's that?
No,
Stephanie?
I do. I do think that's a good point where you're saying like, there's a split in the road, and you either and like bands like Suicidal Tendencies and Slayer are very similar, but yeah, there is that split where you either go punk or metal. And like I said before, I listen to now. I'm not the most well versed in Suicidal Tendencies. I was under the misconception that I disliked them for the longest time.
Right.
So I am new to them, and I also, admittedly, because like your assertive way of speaking made me go like, am I fucking crazy? But I realized I'm actually not as well versed in like 80s and 90s speed metal as I thought either. And I was like listening to a bunch of it, and I go, nah, it is really, it's like the difference between there are a lot of genres like that where it's like it's kind of how you play the guitar. Like it's like how you play the guitar almost determines the band you're in. Like I was hearing someone had a really interesting thing. I forget if they were doing covers or whatever the fuck they did, but they basically had these Metallica songs that they played without distortion on them, and it sounded like surf rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like.
Yeah.
And I think this might be a similar thing where it is like they are kind of speed metal, but the way that they play their guitars, and the way that they play their guitars and they sing and stuff like that, it just, to me, it feels more punk.
Yeah. There's like Psychovision, and I guess that was also the point of contention in our argument was I also agree Psychovision is one of the greatest punk songs ever written.
Yeah.
But I think it's written by a speed metal band, and I think that they are and I don't even like dislike them. I never will ever say that Suicidal Tendencies sucks as a band. Again, if I may jump on your bandwagon, Institutionalized sucks ass holes. It is a bad song. I don't like it.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
and I hate Ice Cube's cover of it. Ice T's cover of it. Excuse me, Ice T's cover of it. Terrible. Body Count. Horrible cover. Terrible cover. Even you took a pile of shit and then you shit it out. Like I don't know what you didn't even eat it. Like I don't know how you added more shit to it. It was so bad. But everything else, love it.
Body Count, they're bigger than the actual sound of the music. It's more of a full body experience than just what the songs sound like. Like they have a song. They have a song literally called "Talk Shit, Get Shot." They're a fun time over there. Body Count.
They do a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of acting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They go, I gotta get back to my NBC show. And, and it's just like, but before that, I'm gonna shoot you. Like, really? I think you're gonna do that?
I'll be honest. There's a part of me that thinks Ice Cube might shoot me or get someone to shoot me.
Ice Cube or Ice T?
Ice T. Sorry,
you did it too. See?
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's racist. It's just what part of the drink are we talking about?
It's not. Yeah, it's definitely. I'm just thirsty. I'm not racist. I'm thirsty.